Students at Trailridge Middle School have a can-do attitude when it comes to community service. We'll check out the CATS program. Also, a look at the signature program that's challenging students with a rigorous college prep curriculum. And we'll find out how the Highlands Hawks are getting along in their brand new building. Plus, the Shadow gets a groove on with the Indian Woods Jazz Band. All on this episode of Spotlight on Shawnee Mission. Welcome to Spotlight on Shawnee Mission. I'm your host, Leanne Neal. Some students at Trailridge Middle School are finding ways to give back and have fun at the same time.
We're filling the boxes with canned goods and lifting them, putting them on the pallets.
These members of Trailridge's CATS team are spending a morning sorting food items, which will go to needy families in Johnson County.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't think it'd be this fun, like sorting cans and stuff, but it is pretty fun.
These two are corn.
Oh, yeah.
It's our first time for all of those students volunteering here, and I think they're kind of amazed at how much work there is behind. And plus, they've collected the cans for it at Trailridge, so it's kind of neat for them to see where they're actually going to go and who they're going to serve.
Librarian Julie Fales is one of 3 sponsors of CATS, which stands for Kids in Action at Trailridge. The club lets students take part in community service projects.
A lot of it is a recycling program that one of the science teachers started, so all the teachers have a recycling bin that needs to be emptied almost twice a day, it seems like now. And then they also help teachers with bulletin boards, putting those up, any kind of projects that teachers have in their rooms with maybe organizing stuff for feeding the animals in the science labs, and helping clean off desks even.
Steven says that he usually attends CATS 2 or 3 times a week. His favorite activity?
Probably breaking down the boxes in the cafeteria. It's pretty fun.
CATS members get credit for volunteering before and after school.
The teachers have a card for you and you fill it out each time you go. So once you go so many times, you get like a little star, how many cards you filled up, you get a little star on your name. So it's cool to go around and look how many stars everybody has gotten.
CATS stars are also eligible to go on special field trips to serve in the community.
A few weeks ago, I went bowling to help with Special Olympics, and that was amazingly fun.
Fales hopes CATS members see that this fun also has a purpose.
They should be helping other people just because it's a good thing to do, not necessarily they're getting a grade for it or getting any kind of recognition, you know, but it's just that as we get older and are more able to help in the community, that they hopefully will continue doing that on their own.
It's a message that seems to be getting across.
I think it's cool. I mean, I'm helping out families in need. My family was like that once, but now we're better, so I think it's really cool helping out.
I like CATS because I can hang out with my friends and also give back to the teachers and the community. It's a really great experience.
CATS is in its 21st year at Trailridge. This year, about 100 students are involved. From engineering to medicine, culinary arts to emerging technologies, Shawnee Mission's signature programs and career and technical courses give high school students lots of options for in-depth study. Hundreds of students and parents had an opportunity to get more information about the different district offerings at the Signature Summit. Visitors were able to pick up brochures detailing each program and attend sessions about specific areas of interest.
I really liked it because it tells you about what classes you can take and how school is important and stuff, and how school can be fun at the same time.
While some students attend to get an overview of the district's signature programs and career and technical options, others already know what is of interest to them.
21st century business because I'd rather not be in someone else's paycheck, and legal studies because I just enjoy debating, or arguing as my parents call it.
Now you can take Spanish.
Younger students weren't the only ones checking out what the district's high schools have to offer. Plenty of parents were taking it all in as well.
I think it's an option that we need to know about as parents.
It's a real eye-opener. I didn't realize all this was available to us, so I'm just really impressed.
IB students tend to bond. They tend to...
To learn more about the district's signature programs and career and technical courses, visit our website at www.smsd.org and click on Signature Programs under the Students tab. One of the district's signature programs offers high school students a challenging college prep curriculum with a global flavor. Up next, the spotlight shines on the district's International Baccalaureate program.
Hi, my name is Cameron. I'm a 4th grader of Overland Park Elementary. The book I'm reviewing is Planting the Trees in Kenya by Claire Navola. This is a story about a woman who wants to change her African world. She went to a college in Kansas, and when she came back, all the trees were gone. So she started the Greenbelt movement to plant trees in Kenya. She gave plants to people to help them grow food and make their land better. She faced many hardships, but she finally succeeded and won the Nobel Peace Prize. Read this book to know more about her. I rate this book 5 out of 5 stars because it's about a woman who wants to change the African world.
Welcome back. Students in the district's International Baccalaureate program say you have to be willing to work to succeed in IB, but they also believe being part of the signature program offered at Shawnee Mission Northwest and Shawnee Mission East is worth the work.
International Baccalaureate is a college prep program. It started in Europe in the mid to late 1960s. A group of international business people wanted to create schools globally. So as they traveled around the world, their kids could leave one school and plug into another one, have qualified teachers, outstanding curriculum, and just kind of make it a seamless move. That was the origin of the program.
I believe that it is the Cadillac of college preparatory programs, and I think that the kids, by the time they're a senior, really understand what they have gained from being a part of the IB program.
I've loved IB. I think I chose it for a combination of reasons. An international perspective is something that's really important to me. I wanted to be in a program that had small classes, a discussion-based learning.
I really like that the courses are more discussion-based and that it's more about finding the knowledge rather than finding the specific answers to what the test may ask.
We are one of 5 schools now in the state that have it. None in Johnson County have it in Shawnee Mission. Kind of an exclusive club, I would say, in a way.
The program components of IB include the 6 subjects, which are your native language, a world language, individuals in society, which is a European terminology for social studies, sciences, mathematics, and then one of the things that makes it really well-rounded is that it also includes an arts and elective component, which is no less significant than what we traditionally think of as the core subjects.
The curriculum for each individual IB class is identical. For example, we teach a course called English Higher Level A1, which is the IB version of English. East teaches exactly the same curriculum. Now within that you have certain choices you can make, but it is standardized.
Outside of those 6 classroom requirements, you have kind of what we call the inside of the hexagon, and that would be participation in the theory of knowledge class, the completion of an extended essay project over 2 years, and the accumulation of some tasks, which stands for creativity, action, and service hours.
I think for college and kind of just for life overall, I'm going to be better prepared because I'm used to stress and lots of work and things like that.
I think it's more about motivation and about wanting to learn than it is about actually the IQ, because I know there's such a wide range of students that are in IB.
Anyone can do it, but I mean, it's for students, like if you're willing to work, if you're willing to try and willing to do it. I mean, if you're not going to try, then you're not going to last in IB.
In fact, we have a number of colleges that actively seek our kids. University of Nebraska, Tulsa are two of them, and they will tell you point blank that when an IB student approaches them, they know they've gone through a rigorous curriculum. They've done work at a college level already. They've been successful at that. They have better study skills, better work ethic, and better academic performance credentials behind them than most other students do.
This prepares me for college because it's really a challenging course, and I've actually heard a college student to say that college has been easier for him than IB, so like it really prepares you for college.
The IB grade, if you will, in a class is comprised of two things. One is called an internal assessment. Most of the classes are 2 years long, and at some point during the 2 years, you do a project in the class. In science, it's a series of labs. In math, it's a series of portfolios and problems. In English, it's a paper you write as a junior, then revise it as a senior. That is about 20% of your IB exam grade. The other 80% occurs in May, much like AP, when you take a sit-down exam. The exams tend to be all open-ended.
The tests I know in social studies are pure essay written. What IB is trying to find out is what you know, not what you don't. And it's trying to develop what you know and expose it to a lot of things.
Those are mailed to graders around the world. I sent some to Dubai last year, sent one to Iran. It's interesting, they go to professors globally, and then those professors grade the exams along with the internal assessment that they did earlier. That's graded by their teacher here and by an IB person. They then put that together, and that comes up with their IB grade.
And I like that it's a 2-year program as opposed to one class, so that there's really a sense of community in a sense that it's all building towards one the IB diploma, high school degree, rather than building towards the end of the year test.
I'm hoping that I'll get a lot of college credit for it, but if the college doesn't offer that much credit, I'm still fine with it because I'll feel like I'm one step ahead of most high school people who are taking normal classes because I've taken college level classes because IB is pushing us that hard.
Shawnee Mission East started the IB program in 1995. The first, I guess, several groups of kids we had were probably, 10 to 12, 10 to 15 kids for the first several years after we initiated the program. This year we started out with our junior class at about 38, so we've really seen kind of an increase in an understanding of the program and an acceptance of the education, I guess, recently in the last 3 or 4 years.
And we recruited our first class, our juniors, in the fall of 2008, we had about 25. And then the next year, this year's seniors, we have about 50, and this year's juniors, we have about 58. So the numbers have grown nicely. Our second graduating class would be this year's seniors, and so we're still relatively new at this.
One of my favorite components is I believe that students in IB feel like that no one is successful unless absolutely everybody in the program is successful. And so they really work together, they have study groups, there's always someone who's strong in every area, and they're always really taking some ownership and everybody learning the most that they can and maximizing on their education potential.
Now that I'm in it, it's a challenge, yes, but it's also kind of like an IB community, like we're all in it together, so we all work together.
They are incredibly bright kids. That's the beauty of IB. You put a bunch of kids together who are the kind of people it's just a privilege to be around. And those kids become like a family. They become a very, very close group.
I think one of the big things is just that I'm so close to people that I wouldn't really have known before.
The camaraderie that I've had with the students in IB, it's been really interesting. I didn't know that many people when I started in the program, and I've developed close relationships and friendships with them.
I'm a firm believer that you get great self-esteem from earned achievement. And IB makes the kids earn, but it makes them achieve.
Shawnee Mission North High School has been granted applicant status from the International Baccalaureate organization and is pursuing the authorization process to become an IB school for the 2012-2013 school year. You can find out a lot more information about the International Baccalaureate program on the district website, www.smsd.org. It is under the Student tab on the Signature Programs page. What's the buzz at Highlands Elementary? Up next, the Hawks show us around their new facility. This year, students and staff at Highlands Elementary are enjoying classes in a brand new building. Now that they've had some time to settle in, we stopped by for a tour. First, Sophie took us to the bigger, brighter library, one of her favorite spots.
I like it because it's peaceful and it's a good place to read, and I like books.
In addition to plenty of new work tables, the library also features lots of windows and special spots to curl up with a good book.
This is one of my favorite spots to read at the library. I like it because of all the windows and the sunlight.
When visitors walk in the library, one of the first things they see is a painting that has special meaning to Highlands students and staff.
This is a picture in memory of Mrs. Bergman, a teacher who passed away last year. It was painted by our art teacher, Mr. Duringer. It's a painting of the beach because she always loved the beach.
Across the hall, we met up with Will in the school's gymnasium.
My favorite parts of the new gym is definitely the wood floor, because we didn't have that in the old Highlands or the Somerset building. And I really like the emblem over there. It's the Hawks because we're the Highlands Hawks.
The construction process meant most Highlands students attended 3 different schools in just 4 years. But Will says it didn't faze him.
I just like that we got to experience 3 different schools, and the old school was really cool because it was small and nice. But then we got to have this brand new school, and it's really cool and fun.
The kids did enjoy it. They enjoyed knowing that they were a part of a special process. They were part of something that was sort of a trail being blazed, a new trail for Highlands, and they were on the ground floor with that.
Although Highlands' location changed several times, Will says some things stayed the same.
Everyone's really nice, and the teachers are really good, and it's just really fun.
Down the hall and around the corner, Courtney wanted to show us the improvements in the new Highlands art room.
My favorite room is the art room because of the sinks, because there are now 4, so there's not a long line. As to the old building, there was only 1. And the tables are a lot nicer and they're newer. And at the old building, they were small.
Another of Courtney's favorite features in this room is new and improved drying racks.
You pull them up and then out, and then you stick your paper in there if it's like a wet painting, and then you stick it back in. And the old ones were just kind of these like metal barbed wire things that you would just lay your paper on, and so they didn't dry as fast, and your paintings might collide with someone else's.
As for the rest of the new building, Courtney says now the classrooms are a lot more functional.
The classrooms, just the way they worked, like now we all have our own cubbies that we can keep our textbooks in and our coats and our backpacks, and there's in between each classroom a workroom, and it's just a small room if we break up into smaller groups that we can work in.
Principal Spencer agrees that the new facility has advantages.
Having a new building it's such a gift. There are so many things that are done with ease that might have been more challenging before. An example of that is our science lab.
Personally, it's my favorite room because we didn't have a science lab in the old building. It is important to have a room set aside for science because science is one of the subjects that's more messy than others,
because math, you do some problems on your calculator, and reading, you read books and write. But in science, you do experiments, and sometimes it gets a little messy.
Outside of the cafeteria is a special display called A Wall Through the Years, featuring historical photos from the school's first 52 years.
The October 3rd dedication, there were a number of alumni and, past teachers even looking at the wall trying to find themselves. Yeah, it gives just a good feel about what Highlands has been about for so many years.
So, what's the verdict on the new digs? Chris sums it up.
What I like about the new building is it's much bigger than the old building. It was cramped in the old building, and then when we moved into this building, it was like, wow, this place is really nice.
But he says being part of this whole process has left him with mixed feelings.
I think it's kind of lucky for us to be the first class because, they could have done this in a year from now and we wouldn't have gotten this experience. But being the first class to graduate kind of saddens me because then I realize I only have 1 year to spend in this building instead of 2 or 3.
What feels special to me is that it represents our community. The representation of the parents' work and the teachers' work and the children's work, that's, I think, what makes this building most special.
Spencer says thanks to the commitment of the Highlands community, the school was able to be fitted with things that weren't in the original budget, like the science lab and extra windows for the classrooms. Up next, the Shadow jazzes it up at Indian Woods.
Hi, I'm Jillian Brennan.
And I'm Caroline Weaver.
And
we're 6th graders at Trailridge Elementary. We read Diamond Willow by Helen Frost. This book is special because it is written like a poem and it has a secret message on each page that tells how Willow feels.
Diamond Willow is about a girl named Willow who lives in Alaska and wants to travel to her grandma's house alone by sled.
Unfortunately, there is a snowstorm and they take a wrong turn. Sadly, Roxy, her dog, gets injured. Willow and her family need to make a decision whether to put Roxy to sleep.
To find out if Roxy survives, you're going to have to read the book.
We rate this book 4 out of 5 stars because it's interesting, sad, and adventurous.
Welcome back. 18th and Vine isn't the only spot to find great jazz in the metro. Check out where the Shadow found a group of cool cats creating some sweet sounds. Walking into the music room, things may sound a little chaotic, but like any good group of musicians, the members of the Indian Woods Jazz Band are anxious to get some individual warm-up with their instruments before rehearsal begins.
This is an audition group of students, and we play all kinds of different styles, rock, swing, ballads, funk, you name it, we play it.
Since the group rehearses over the lunch hour, director Megan Ernie knows that time is of the essence. So before too long, she gets down to business.
1, 2, 71, 2, ready, go!
After some group work, the musicians transition to a jazz essential, getting a chance to try their hand at individual improvisation.
There's so much jazz theory behind what these students are doing. Not only do they have to know their basic major scales, but they also have to think abstractly outside the box. Do I put a flat on this note? Do I put a sharp on this note? How does this formula work into this scale? And how do these chord changes work together so that I can make a solo that sounds good?
Hearing these jazz artists in action, I was ready to try my hand at a little improv.
Now we are going to let Mrs. Neal have her debut solo, and we have strategically taped the bars that she's going to play, so you don't have to know anything about music.
Excellent.
You can just play the taped bars.
Excellent.
And you will be fabulous. Rhythm first, ready, go.
Okay, so will you play me a pattern and then I can follow? How about that?
Cameron, ready, go.
just do the same?
Anytime. Just do something.
Anything. It just matters. Oops. Stay on the tape.
And ready and stop. Let's give her a round of applause. Woo!
Thank you, sir.
Very well done.
Thank you for the tape. Next, Ernie challenged her students to work in pairs and make the improvisation flow from one to the other.
So they're thinking about things like tempo, the pitches, the rhythms, and then how to interact with another student. You saw how they had partners they had to solo with. They have to listen to their partner and try to make a solo that sounds part of their partner's solo also. A 1, 2, measure 9, and not too fast.
Enough improv practice for today. Now it was time to pull out sheet music and get in the mood with some big band swing. For these students, jazz band is their second band class each day, and as you might imagine from their polished play, for many, it's not their first experience with jazz.
They do have an elementary program with Chris Cole, so most of the students here do have a jazz background. They do a little bit of jazz theory at the elementary level, but here we have an hour every day to really delve into those things, the theory and the style. And so if we're hitting it, nearly 5 hours a week, they're going to get it pretty quick.
And what's the at-home time that these students spend rehearsing?
I've seen some of their practice time, and I've seen upwards of 600 minutes. I don't even know how they find time to eat during the week if they're doing that. But if it's something that they love, it might be a break from their homework that they get to play their instrument. I know a lot of these students play in outside groups outside of school. So they have quartets and things on the side, whether that be a garage band or something more like a jazz trio or quartet.
Next, the group pulled out sheet music to the funk classic Brick House and challenged the Shadow to start it off right.
Have you ever seen the SNL skit, More Cowbell? You have? Okay. If you have any like Will Ferrell that you want to put into it, you got to get into it when you play the cowbell. Yeah. There you go. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, ba.
From big band to funk, how does Ernie come up with the musical selections for these students?
There's a variety of criteria I consider. The first of which, is it educationally sound? Are we going to learn something through this piece of music? The other thing I take into account is, will the audience like this piece?
Students that are coming up, what would you say to them if they're thinking maybe they might be interested in continuing their instrument or their band experience at middle school?
Practice, practice, practice. Band is so much fun, and there's so much you can gain from it. And it's not just about the music, it's also about the social aspect, and the students make their lifelong friends here. And so to be a part of this group is not just in the classroom, it goes out into the school as well. Nice job, let's give it up for the cowbell.
My thanks to the Indian Woods Jazz Band and director Megan Ernie for letting me sit in on their session. That's all the time we have for this episode of Spotlight on Shawnee Mission. Join us again as we continue to feature the programs and people of Shawnee Mission who are helping guide students to success. Thank you for watching.